here's the deal. This is going to be a quick video tonight because I got somebody coming over. But we have the candle. My mom made that. My mom makes candles. She used to make all kinds of stuff. She used to make, you guys know about essential oils. Now, whether you think essential oils are, well, there's two ways to take essential oils. They're either complete horse crap, like they're not real, or they're demonic, satanic, because you extract the essence of something, which is kind of, I guess, I've been told allegedly is satanic. When the form of the thing, the idios, the idea of it is extracted from the physical, whatever we live in, which is like on the lower end of the divided line, in like the realm of opinions, basically a shadow. When you extract, like it's a sort of a witchcraft sort of thing that happens, I believe, when you're able to extract the form of the thing, which is way up here, and down from, like somehow it's transported because it's a reflection. You transport the form, which is up here in the realm of the forms. Somehow it's reflecting on the thing itself, or not the thing itself, but the thing. You take the thing itself out of the realm of the forms and put it into the thing, and then you take that and then you make it in. You put in like a little oil. But anyways, I was thinking today. This is a completely, wow, that was crazy. But I was thinking today. I watched this edit of the Beowulf movie, which you guys remember that movie? Beowulf. It's like an animated, this movie's insane, okay? I believe I read Beowulf in school, and it was awesome. That was like probably my favorite book that I was like required to read for some reason in homeschool. I was supposed to read Beowulf, which was awesome. And then within homeschool, it's like, okay, so you read Beowulf, then you watch the movie Beowulf, the animated movie from like 2006 or 2007 or whatever. And holy smokes, what a good movie. Now, I will be straight up with you. I think I read it in like 8th grade or something. So I don't know how old I would have been. How old are you if you're in 8th grade? Whatever. But I was a young lad, and there's a scene in Beowulf with Angelina Jolie, and she's basically naked. She's like a nymph, type of like a goddess, but she's like an evil goddess. She's like a nymph, kind of like Circe, and she tries to seduce Beowulf, and she's like, I can make you into the best king. And of course, the psychological trial for a man is with a beautiful woman. Now, Angelina Jolie, she's like a 20 on the Patrice O'Neal hot scale. She's like a 20 out of 30. But, she's a pretty good looking lady. But I'm pretty sure my parents fast forwarded through that scene because they didn't want me to see basically nudity. But it was PG-13. That movie was pretty edgy for PG-13 because I think that they just hit it with PG-13 because it's animated. But there's, nudity, extreme violence. I am Slasher, Ripper, Terror. Mine is lust. Mine is... I am Beowulf. Beowulf has sick lines in that movie. It's crazy. You think you're the first one to try to kill me, or the 100th? Beowulf is so cool. But I was like, man, I remembered how good that movie was, and the soundtrack was crazy. I still listen to the soundtrack, it gets me hyped up. But that's like a pure testosterone movie, where like you watch it and you're just like you're just ready to go. You're just like, give me a sword, please. Give me a sword. So, but that got me thinking about. Well, first of all, I saw an edit of that, and it reminded me of how awesome it was, because there's a part where Beowulf, he's just swimming with his boy, and there's sea monsters, like huge sea monsters with like 1 million teeth. They're huge. They're like a sea serpent. They're like a leviathan, and not the whale type of leviathan. Also not the Hobbes type of leviathan, but they're like swimming around, and Beowulf has a knife on him somehow. He's swimming, and he's just like, he goes inside of the monster, and he's inside, and he goes up, there's an eyeball. He's like this. He's inside, and then Beowulf is like, Beowulf! And then dives in. He died. That scene was awesome. He's just like, Beowulf! He says his own name. Like, he's so hyped up about how cool he is that he says his own name and then does like a 30-foot dive into the ocean. Holy smokes. Yeah, that's an awesome movie. There's another, it's really interesting how they did the animation. I have no idea how it works, but they have like weird facial tracking where you can tell that like it's the actor. That doesn't make any sense. That's a really dumb way to say that, but they kind of do that in like newer video games, like the Call of Duty games as well. Like they have this sort of weird sci-fi looking thing that does facial tracking. I think that's what it is. But it's impressive for like 2007. There's certain weird parts about it where it's sort of uncanny, but honestly holds up. And to be fair, animations from early 2000s are sick. I mean, I know that they're silly compared to like animations that are hyper realistic, but there's in the lack of detail with the animation, it almost adds art, like an artistic aspect to it, which is cool. Me and Baxter were talking about this, about like Creed music videos. You ever watch Creed music videos? The weird animations in there. Also, the Creed, one of the album covers is like this weird like sand guy. Something about that art style, I don't know what you would even call it, is so cool to me. But we've lost that. It's like it's like 90s and early 2000s. Those kind of, maybe I just have nostalgia for it because that was the stuff I was watching, when I was a kid, like growing up. I was born in 2002. So I was watching, good movies from that time when they were coming out with CGI. But that is such a test-filled movie. It's crazy. That and Gladiator. I just watched Gladiator for the first time, actually. I'd never seen Gladiator. And I saw it, I said, wow, this is a good movie. And I didn't realize that MF Doom got his helmet from Gladiator. So he's Maximus. But what do you guys think? I don't know about this, but Commodus kills Marcus in that, and that seems like an interpolation to me. What do you guys think about that? Is that anywhere? That has to be an interpolation. That has to be fake. That seems so stupid, but I just don't know. And then Commodus also did not get killed by Maximus IRL. I believe Commodus was poisoned or something. Go figure. But sweet movie, very cool. The part where he's walking with the hand in the wheat. I've done this in real life, having never seen Gladiator. So when I saw Gladiator and that happened, it was like, whoa. There's a lot of wheat fields around here, and it is fun to walk in them and just kind of like, but that was a cool moment. It reminded me when he dies at the, spoiler alert, when he potentially dies at the end, and he goes to the afterlife, you know, and he reunites with his family, because that's the whole thing, is like his family gets killed because Maximus is basically Marcus understands what Plato understood, which was the guy who doesn't want to be the guy who's qualified, the just man, doesn't want to be the emperor, doesn't want to be in control. You think Marcus wanted to be the emperor? Probably not. Definitely not. But that was his job, and Stoics are good at doing whatever job they're supposed to do, whatever fate has appointed them, whatever God has appointed them. Which Marcus, it's interesting when you read the Meditations, Marcus is almost agnostic. It's weird to think about. He's religious. He's definitely religious. He gives ode to the Roman gods, the Roman pantheon, but he's also says at a certain point, yeah, maybe it is just all a bunch of, part of like matter in the void, whatever. Either way, that doesn't change what my job is and what I'm here to do. So that's kind of interesting. But one of the funny lines in the Meditations is he's saying, I'm not into like these people that have all these sort of elaborate prayers or whatever. And the longest a prayer needs to be is Zeus rain down on Athens. Simple, to the point, God already knows what you're thinking. How complex does your prayer need to be? God, your will be done in my life. God, what would you have me do? That's all it needs to be. God, thank you. Thank you for this life. But, man, yeah, Gladiator, another banger movie. I guess we're just talking about movies tonight. We're talking about testosterone-filled movies. So another testosterone-filled movie that is not on the surface. Okay, complexity-wise, this is not an intellectual movie whatsoever. It's called Viking? No. The Northman. You guys ever watch The Northman? It's got Alexander Skarsgård, or whatever the guy's name is. I've only seen him in that movie, I'm pretty sure. But he's jacked. He had massive traps, huge delts, pretty sick. And he's like, that movie, when I first saw it, when it first came out, I was like, I was lifting pretty hard watching that. I think I would even like watch it, the raid scene. I've heard people call out, yeah, the action is kind of lame, so far as it's not realistic. Like the battle scenes, there's a lot of, like at one point, a spear is whipped, like in Homer. a spear gets whipped at Alexander Skarsgård, and he does this. So he catches. You guys see? So the spear is like whipped at him. He goes like this. He like does a 360, and it's completely unnecessary. And then, it's just the actions are kind of slow. There was a cool part where he jumps off a wall and hits a dude like on horseback, which was pretty cool. But what was I saying about that? Oh, but so the action's not like super. It's not like when you watch, oh man, the Roman Polanski, Macbeth. Have you guys ever seen the Roman Polanski movie about Macbeth? Holy smokes. Oh, the Roman Polanski, Macbeth, go watch it. If you've read Macbeth first, then go watch it. It's going to color your vision of Macbeth when you see this movie. Because it's a weird psychological, it's scary, which so is Macbeth, I mean, he's talking to witches. Double, toil and trouble, cauldron burn, and fire burn and cauldron bubble, something like that. And he sees, the apparitions. He has a weird acid trip because the witches are like showing him stuff. And foretelling, giving him auguries essentially of like, you will be killed by, you can only be killed by a man not of woman born. Turns out the guy that kills him was born of a cesarean section, so he, got taken from his mother's womb, not like a natural like birth, which me too. I was also I'm also not of woman born. But there's a fight scene. This is the point I was trying to get to. There's a fight scene at the end when he fights the man not of woman born, and it's cool, man. It's weird, like the sword fighting, and they're in plate armor, so they're like whacking each other with swords, and it's not doing anything because what's that gonna do? You have a blade, and these are like rapiers. They're not like a heavy sword. So I think, if I remember correctly, so they're hitting plate armor, which is sheet metal, and it's not doing anything. It's just like, ooh, But, you would have to get it has to be pierced, penetrated. This is why guns become effective, is because a gun will shoot straight through plate armor. So when they get that idea, they figure out what to do with gunpowder. They start, and arrows go through plate armor as well. But anyways, so the Northman is not like, it's not interesting and realistic and like when you see movies where violence is portrayed in a way that is real and kind of sickening how real it is, it does something to you that's really interesting, I guess. In the same way, I'm trying to think of a good movie that does that with like modern day, with like guns. I can't think of a good one, but I mean, No Country for Old Men is any Michael Mann movie, the gun that's more about the handling. It has nothing to do with, because when you see a dude get shot in the movies and they're like, or they go like get blown away, not real. When somebody actually gets shot, they're just like there. It's just like, and they flop on the deck. And it's kind of disturbing to see just a human body crumple, because the life, the black darkness has been shaded over their eyes like in Homer. The blackness overtakes their eyes and they're just gone. But damn. See, if they did a real, Troy is another testosterone movie. Full of test. You will get hyped up watching that. I got so hyped up because I read the Iliad and then I watched the movie, and I was so jacked up that I start chucking like drops, like rips from like plywood at the job site, start like whipping them like spears, and I just do that constantly now. But that influenced me. Totally inaccurate to the Iliad though. If they just made the Iliad like a movie, if they just made somehow, without interpolating anything, without sort of wedging in, you know, there's so much unrealistic stuff that happens that is not in the Iliad. Like, for instance, Menelaus gets killed by Hector, which does not happen. Menelaus survives and goes home. Agamemnon gets killed by Briseis. No, doesn't happen. Agamemnon gets killed by Aegisthus, if you're reading the Odyssey, or if you're reading Aeschylus, he gets killed by his wife Clytemnestra, but it's kind of like a co-op type of deal with Aegisthus. So they add so much BS, and they make it out to be like, oh, Menelaus is such a bad, he's such a bad guy. You want to hate Agamemnon and Menelaus, when Menelaus is just like a nice guy in the Odyssey. I mean, nice for the time that they're in. Me and Sammy were talking about basically nobody past a certain point in Antiquity was a nice guy. I mean, even relative to like 1800s, nobody was a nice guy. That just shows how our standards and what we consider a good man changes. The only defiant thing to that would just be probably Marcus Aurelius. But you can find, I'm sure, but we only have what he writes down about himself within the Meditations. There's plenty of things that you could say, yeah, Commodus, he was a bad father to Commodus, most likely. I mean, you can only assume. There are every man is no man is perfect. No man is perfect. But okay, when we get a certain point back in Antiquity, think about King David. King David essentially uses his power to rape a woman, Bathsheba, kills her husband through his power to put him in the front lines where he knows he's going to be killed, and then takes his wife. I mean, that's pretty messed up. But, he's a man after God's own heart. So, and some of that is to show that is the human. There is no perfect human. So far as, okay, people judging people from Antiquity through the modern perspective, you're never going to find somebody that completely lines up with the modern perspective when you're looking at Antiquity. And you'll never, within modern days, find somebody that perfectly lives up to it. If you get the point that I'm making, I'm going way too far with that. But, man, we were also talking about the part where David, because King Saul knew that David was a threat to the throne, and that he was a threat to the throne, even though he's friends with his son. So he wants to kind of get rid of David in some ways, or find some way to pacify David by marrying off his daughter to David, I believe. But he says, if you want to do this, you need to bring me like 100 foreskins, which is weird. Why foreskins? I mean, I get, some guy who knows the Hebrew is probably gonna be like, well, here's why. Okay, that's fine if you want to do that, by the way. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. I don't know why they do that. Probably something to do with, God wants you to cut your penis skin off. Whatever. But they're dead. So he's taking dead guys' foreskin off and put them in a little baggie. So David's like, not only, he goes berserker mode, not only am I going to give him the number, he like multiplies, he gives him like an order of magnitude more foreskins. And he's just like, here you go, boss. you know, he's mogging King Saul basically. I don't remember why I was talking about that, but that was a weird thing as well. But guys, I'm hungry. It's late. That's all for now.